Hello, class. Welcome to this week's filmmaking lesson. I might not be here at Lowe's College. I might be going to Walt Disney World again to visit Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom and stayed at Disney's Yacht Club Resort. All right. So on today we will be doing home video releases. So first, on today we will be doing the Reluctant Dragon 1941 film. Here's a plot. Here's an overview for this film. The film starts at Robert Benchley's home as he plays with his swimming pool, shooting darts and toy ducks. It turns out that he is delaying in trying to sell the rights of the Reluctant Dragon to studio head to Walt Disney. Benchley's wife finally convinces him to approach Disney as they drive to the Walt Disney Studios. There, she leaves him at the studio gate while she goes shopping. Studio operations toured by Benchley. After his arrival, Benchley dodges an overly officious studio guide named Humphrey, played by Buddy Pepper. As he wanders around the studio, Benchley stumbles upon a number of the Disney operations and learns about the traditional animation process. Some of the facets of which are explained by a staff employee named Doris Frances Guilford. The life drawing classroom where animators learn to caricature people and animals by observing the real thing. A film score and voice recording session featuring Clarence Nash, the voice of Donald Duck, and Florence Gill, the voice of Clara Clock. A Foley session for a cartoon featuring Casey Jr. from Dumbo. Doris demonstrates the sonobox in this scene, which was used to create the trained voice. It was taken from Operation Wonderland. The camera room, featuring a demonstration of the multiplane camera. Upon Benchley's entering the camera room, the film turns from grayscale and black and white of Technicolor, a la The Wizard of Oz, prompting the droll Benchley to breaking the fourth wall, examine his now red and blue tie and his yellow copy of the Reluctant Dragon storybook and comment, "Ah, Technicolor." When Doris arrives to show him around the camera room, she asks Benchley if he remembers her. His answer, "Yes, but you look so much different in Technicolor." Donald Duck appears and the camera stand to help explain the mechanics of animation and animation photography. The ink and paint department, including a Technicolor showcasing montage of the paint department, Doris presents a completed cell of the tutelar character from Bambi. The maquette making department, which makes maquettes, small statues, to help the animators envision a character from all sides. Some of the maquettes on display included Aunt Sarah, C and M from Lane and Tramp, and Peter, Captain Hook, Tinkerbell, Mr. Smee, John and Michael, Darling, from Peter Pan. Both films were in development at this time, but would be delayed by World War II and uncompleted until the 1950s. Also on display is a black Centaurette from Fantasia, which Benchley admires. The employee on duty makes Benchley a maquette of himself, which many years later was purchased and owned by Warner Brothers director Chuck Jones. The storyboard department, where a group of storymen, one of whom is portrayed by Ellen Ladd, test their idea of a new short on Benchley, Baby Weems. The story is shown to the audience in the form of an animatic or story reel using unlimited animation, loaned out by 20th Century Fox to direct this film. Alfred Walker later became the first outside film director to use the storyboard, which the Disney staff and developed from precisive illustrated scripts during the early 1930s. The room of animators were Kimball, Fred Moore, and Norm Ferguson. Benchley watches Kimball animating Goofy. He and the audience are also treated to a preview of a new Goofy cartoon, How to Ride a Horse, the first of the many how-to parodies in the Goofy series. RKO later reissued the How to Ride a Horse as a standalone short on February 24th, 1950, featuring John McLeish as a narrator and Clarence Nash as Goofy's horse Percy. After viewing the Goofy presentation, Benchley witnesses Ferguson animating Pluto. Humphrey, who has been one step behind Benchley the entire film, finally apprehends him and delivers on him in person to Walt Disney, who is in the studio projection room about to screen nearly completed film. As Benchley sits, he hands Disney the animated cell, the Maquette, and discovers a centaur in the pocket. Disney invites Benchley to join them, to Benchley's slight embarrassment yet relief. The film they screen is the two-reel, 20-minute short based upon the very book Benchley wanted Walt to adapt, The Reluctant Dragon. The Reluctant Dragon. The cartoon starts with an introduction by the narrator of the story. One of the main characters, the boy, who is reading a book about knights and bloodthirsty dragons, is introduced. His father comes rushing by, claiming to have seen a monster. The boy reassures his father that it was only a dragon, to which the father panics and runs to the village in fear. The boy then goes to the dragon's lair, where he is confronted not by the ferocious beast, but his shy, poetry-loving creature, though surprised at seeing what a nice creature the dragon is. The boy befriends him. When he arrives back at the village, the boy discovers that Sir Giles, the dragon slayer, has arrived. He runs to tell the dragon that he should fight him, only to be left disappointed when the dragon announces that he never fights. The boy visits Sir Giles, not St. George, as in the original story, and it is revealed that Sir Giles is an old man. The boy tells Sir Giles that the dragon will never fight and they decide to visit him. Sir Giles and the boy visit the dragon while he is having a picnic. It turns out that Sir Giles also loves to make up poetry, so the dragon and Sir Giles serenade each other. The boy then asks if he could recite a poem of his own. From this, he uses his chance to get the ward of edgewise to shout at them to arrange the fight. The dragon leaves but is persuaded back out of his cave when he is flattered by Sir Giles. The dragon and Sir Giles eventually decide to fight, but as Sir Giles and the boy leave, the dragon realizes in shock that he has accidentally agreed to a fight and tries to tell Sir Giles and the boy that he changed his mind. But they ignore him, and the dragon mutters to himself why he cannot just keep his big mouth shut. The next day, the villagers gather to watch the fight. Sir Giles arrives waiting for the dragon. Inside his cave, the dragon is too scared to fight and cannot breathe fire. The boy calling the dragon a punk poet leads to a dragon getting angry and eventually spitting flames. The dragon jumps for joy as he is now ferocious. The fight ensues, with Sir Giles chasing the dragon around with his sword and into the cave, where they drink tea and make noises to make it seem they are fighting. Out in the open, they charge at each other, creating an enormous cloud. Inside they dance, and Sir Giles reveals that it is time for the dragon to be slain, but only for to pretend. To which the dragon gets excited. Sir Giles places his lance under the dragon's arm. Then the dragon jumps out of the cloud and performs a dramatic death scene. The story ends with the dragon being accepted into society, to which the dragon recites a poem. I promise not to rant or roar and scourge the countryside anymore. Sir Giles is drawn by the animators who to somewhat resemble Don Quixote. Closing. The film closes with Benchley and his wife driving home. She harangues him for failing to sell the movie, and that by dilly-dallying, Benchley missed the chance to sell the rights. With Disney having already produced the film, he answers, "Phooey," in the style of Donald Duck. Alright, On tomorrow, we will be doing Pinocchio 1940 film. Here's a plot in this film. Jiminy, after singing When You Wish Upon a Star, explains to the audience that he is going to tell a story of a wish coming true. His story begins in the Italian workshop of a woodworker named Geppetto. Jiminy watches as Geppetto finishes work on a wooden marionette, whom he names Pinocchio. Before falling asleep, Geppetto wishes on a star that Pinocchio will be a real boy. During the night, a blue fairy visits the workshop and brings Pinocchio to life, although he remains a puppet, she informs. She informs him that if he proves himself brave, truthful, and unselfish, he will become a real boy and assigns Jiminy to be his conscience. Geppetto is shocked but ecstatic to discover that his puppet is alive. The next day, on his way to school, Pinocchio is led astray by a con artist fox named Honest John, who convinces him to join Stromboli's puppet show and become a star as a living puppet without strings. Despite Jiminy's objections, Pinocchio becomes Stromboli's star attraction as a marionette who can sing and dance without strings. However, when Pinocchio wants to go home for the night, Stromboli locks him in the birdcage. In fact, Stromboli intends to exploit Pinocchio by enslaving and forcing him to perform around the world to make much money just for the puppeteer himself and them to use the little wooden boy as firewood. Once he gets too old to perform, Jiminy sneaks into Stromboli's wagon but is unable to free his friend. The blue fairy appears and asks Pinocchio why he was not at school. Jiminy urges Pinocchio to tell the truth, but instead he starts telling lies, which causes his nose to grow longer and longer. Pinocchio vows to be good from now on, and the blue fairy returns his nose to its original form and sets him free while warning him that this will be the last time she can help him. Across town, in the Red Lobster Inn, Honest John and his sidekick Gideon the Cat meet a coachman who promises Honest John to pay him money if he can find stupid little boys for him to take to Pleasure Island. Though Honest John is at first terrified at the simple mention of the place and getting caught, the coachman assures him that none of the boys ever come back as boys. The two then encounter Pinocchio on his way home after escaping from Stromboli. Honest John then pretends to be a doctor and convinces him that he is allergic and he needs to take a vacation on Pleasure Island after his terrible experience. On the way to Pleasure Island, he befriends Lambrick, a delinquent boy without rules or authority to enforce their activity. Pinocchio and the other boys soon engage in smoking cigars and cigarettes, gambling, vandalism, and getting drunk, much to Jiminy's dismay. Later, while trying to get home, Jiminy discovers that the island hides a horrible curse. The boys brought to Pleasure Island make jackasses of themselves by turning them into donkeys, and they are to slave labor and salt mines and circuses. Jiminy runs back to warn Pinocchio, only to witness Lambrick transform into a donkey. With Jiminy's help, Pinocchio narrowly escapes the island with only donkey ears and a tail. Upon returning home, Pinocchio and Jiminy find the workshop accent. They soon get a letter from the Blue Fairy as a dove, stating that Geppetto had ventured out to sea to save Pinocchio from Pleasure Island but was swallowed by Monstro, a terrible giant whale, and is now living within the belly of the beast. Determined to rescue his father, Pinocchio jumps into the sea, accompanied by Jiminy. Pinocchio is soon swallowed by Monstro as well, where he finds Geppetto. Pinocchio devises a scheme to make Monstro sneeze, giving them a chance to escape. The scheme works, but the enraged whale chases them and smashes their raft. Pinocchio pulls Geppetto to safety in a cave before Monstro crashes into it. Geppetto, Figaro, Cleo, and Jiminy are washed up safely on the beach, but Pinocchio is apparently killed. Back home, Geppetto, Jiminy, and the pets are inconsolable and mourn the loss of Pinocchio. However, the Blue Fairy decides that Pinocchio has proven himself brave, truthful, and selfless. To reward him, she reverses the Pleasure Island curse and turns him into a real human boy, reviving him in the process. Much to everyone's joy, Pinocchio awakens when they find out he is now a real boy. As the group celebrates, Jiminy steps outside to thank the fairy and is rewarded with a solid gold badge that certifies him as an official conscience. Alright, on Wednesday, we will be doing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs 1937 film. Here's the plot in this film. Snow White is a lonely princess living with her stepmother, a vain queen. The queen worries that Snow White will be more beautiful than her, so she forces Snow White to work as a scullery maid and asks her magic mirror daily who is the fairest one of all. For years, the mirror always answers that the queen is pleasing her. One day, the magic mirror informs the queen that Snow White is now the fairest in the land. On that same day, Snow White meets and falls in love with the prince who overhears her singing. The jealous queen orders her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. She further demands that the huntsman return with Snow White's heart in the jeweled box as proof of the deed. However, the huntsman cannot bring himself to kill Snow White. He tearfully begs for her forgiveness, revealing the queen wants her dead, and urging her to flee into the woods and never look back. Lost and frightened, the princess is befriended by woodland creatures who lead her to a cottage deep in the woods. Finding seven small chairs in the cottage's dining room, Snow White assumes that the cottage is an untidy home of 7 orphan children. Actually, the cottage belongs to 7 adult dwarves named Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey, who work in the nearby mine. Returning home, they are alarmed to find their cottage clean and suspect that an intruder has invaded their home. The dwarves find Snow White upstairs, asleep across 3 of their beds. Snow White awakes to find the dwarves at her bedside and introduces herself, and all of the dwarves eventually welcome her into their home after she offers to clean and cook for them. Snow White keeps house for the dwarves while they mine for jewels during the day, and at night they all sing, play music, and dance. Meanwhile, the queen discovers Snow White is alive when the mirror again answers that Snow White is the fairest in the land, and tells her that the heart in the box is that of a pig. Using a potion to disguise herself as an old hag, the queen creates a poisoned apple that will put whoever eats it into the sleeping death. She learns the curse can be broken by a love's first kiss, but is certain Snow White will be buried alive before this can happen. The queen goes to the cottage while the dwarves are away, but the animals attack her, then rush off to find the dwarves, faking heart trouble. The queen tricks Snow White into bringing her into the cottage to rest. The queen fools Snow White into biting into the poison apple under the pretense that it is a magic apple that grants wishes. As Snow White falls asleep, the queen proclaims that she is now the fairest of the land. The dwarfs return with the animals as the queen leaves the cottage and gives chase. Trapping her on the cliff, she tries to roll a boulder onto them, but lightning strikes the cliff before she can do so, causing her to fall into her death. The dwarfs return to their cottage and find Snow White seemingly dead, being kept in the death-like slumber by the poison. Unwilling to bury her out of sight on the ground, they instead place her in a glass coffin trimmed with gold in a clearing in the forest. Together with the woodland creatures, they keep watch over her. A year later, the prince learns of her eternal sleep and visits her coffin. Saddened, by her parent death, he kisses her, which breaks the spell and awakens her. The dwarfs and animals will all rejoice as the prince takes Snow White to his castle. Alright, on Thursday, we will be doing Hamilton 2020 film by Disney Plus. Here's a synopsis in this film. Divided into two acts, the musical depicts the life and career of Alexander Hamilton, an orphaned immigrant from the Caribbean island of Nevis. The first act covers Hamilton's arrival in New York City in 1776. His work in the Continental Army as an aide de camp to General George Washington during the American Revolution, and his courtship and marriage to Eliza Schiller. The second act covers Hamilton's post-war work as the first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, his affair with Maria Reynolds, the death of his son Philip, and finally his own death, and the duel with Aaron Burr. Alright, on Friday, we will be doing High School Musical 2006 film. Here's the plot to this film. On New Year's Eve, high school juniors Troy Bolton, Zac Efron, and Gabriela Montez, Vanessa Hudgens, meet at the ski lodge party during the winter break. The two are called upon to sing a duet together for karaoke, start of something new. Returning to school after break, Troy sees Gabriela in his homeroom. She explains that she has just moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and transferred to East High School over the break. As Troy shows Gabriela around the school, drama club president and East High's designated ice princess Sharpay Evans, Ashley Tisdale, assumes that Gabriela is interested in auditioning for the school musical Twinkle Town. Wanting to eliminate competition, Sharpay has Scholastic Decathlon captain and Chem Club president Taylor McKessie Maniku Coleman investigate Gabriela's past academic achievements to recruit Gabriela for the Scholastic Decathlon. As a result, Taylor and Gabriela became friends over their shared interests. During basketball practice, Troy is distracted by thoughts of Gabriela and the idea that he might enjoy singing in addition to basketball. Get your head in the game. Gabriela and Troy go to the musical auditions where Sharpay and her twin brother Ryan Evans, Lucas Grabeel, perform What I've Been Looking For. However, Troy and Gabriela are too shy to audition. When Gabriela gains the confidence to step forward once the auditions are unofficially declared over, Troy offers to sing with her. However, drama teacher Miss Jarvis, Alison Reed, tells them they are too late and leaves. Kelsey Nielsen, Alicia Willen, the musical's composer, trips and drops her music all over the stage. Troy and Gabriela rush to help her and sing together as Kelsey plays on the piano What I've Been Looking For reprise. Overhearing their performance, Miss Jarvis gives them a callback auditions. When the callback list gets posted, Sharpay discovers that she has competition for the lead role, while the Wildcats basketball team is shocked that Troy has auditioned. After finding out that Troy can do activities outside his clique. Other students confess their secret passions and talents, stick to the status quo. This alarms Taylor and Troy's best friend, Chad Danforth, Corbin Blue. Taylor and Chad come up with a plan to divert Troy and Gabriela from singing in the musical so they can focus on their upcoming competitions. In the locker room, Troy is tricked by his teammates into saying that Gabriela is not needed. Gabriela watches this via a hidden webcam that the Scholastic Decathlon. team has set up. Upset that by Troy's betrayal, when there was me and you, Gabriella decides to not audition for the musical. Troy, confused by Gabriella's decision, is unable to concentrate on the game, while Gabriella is low in spirits, realizing their mistake. Chad and the basketball team tell Troy what happened and offer to support him in the callbacks. Taylor, who also explains to Gabriella, but she doesn't believe Taylor's claims. That evening, Troy goes to Gabriella's house and they can reconcile, determined to audition for the musical. Overhearing Gabriella and Troy rehearse, Sharpay asks Miss Jarvis to move the callbacks so they start at the same time as both Troy's basketball championship game and Gabriella's scholastic decathlon competition. Kelsey overhears the conversation and the basketball and decathlon teams make a plan together. On the day of the competitions, Taylor and Gabriella use their school's computers to delay the championship game by hacking the power in the gym and then causing a chemical reaction that focus an evacuation during the decathlon. Troy and Gabriella rush into the auditorium as Sharpay and Ryan finish their callback song, Bop to the Top. After Gabriella and Troy successfully perform their song, Breaking Free, and Miss Jarvis gives them lead roles, making Sharpay and Ryan understudied. Both teams win their respective competitions, and the entire school gathers in the gym to celebrate. We're all in this together. Chad asks Taylor out, and Sharpay makes a peace with Gabriella. In a post-credit scene, Zach Baylor, Chris Warren Jr., faces alone in the gym when Sharpay runs in, declaring that the cookies he had given her that she had initially rejected are congenius. She hugs him, and he says he will make her a creme brulee. Zach smiles in victory. Alright, also on Friday, we will be doing for a 2014 film. Here's the plot to this film. In early April 1945, the Allies make their final push into Nazi Germany, encountering Pentacle residents. Don War Daddy Collier, a battle-hardened U.S. Army First Sergeant in the 2nd Warmer Division, commands an M4 Sherman Easy-8 tank nicknamed Fairy, and his veteran crew, Gunner Boyd, Bible, Swan, Loader, Grady, Kungas, Travis, driver Trini, Gordo, Garcia, and assistant driver Bo, Gunner, Red, all of whom have fought together since the North African campaign. Red is killed by a German anti-tank shell, which went through his head, hitting the gun mantlet. Red is replaced by Private First Class Norman Ellison, a young clerk typist from V Corps. As Furry moves deeper into Germany, Norman's inexperience becomes dangerous. He spots up but fails to shoot Hitler youth child soldiers who ambush the platoon leader's tank with a Panzerfaust, killing its entire crew. Later, he hesitates under fire during the skirmish with anti-tank guns. After the battle, Dunn finds a captured German soldier wearing a U.S. Army coat and gives Norman his revolver, ordering him to execute the soldier. When he refuses, Dunn wrestles the revolver into his hand and forces him to pull the trigger, killing the prisoner and traumatizing Norman. With Don now the acting platoon leader, the tanks capture the small town. Don and Norman search for an apartment and encounter a German woman, Irma, and her younger cousin, Emma. Don pays them cigarettes for a meal and some hot water so he can shave. Norman and Emma, bonded at Don's urging, go into the bedroom for sex. Later, as the four sit down to eat, the rest of the crew drunkenly barges in, harassing the woman and bullying Norman until Don rebukes them. They are called away for the urgent mission, but as the men prepare to leave, German shells hit the town, killing Emma and further traumatizing Norman. The platoon receives orders to capture and hold a crossroads to protect the division's rear. En route, they are ambushed by an SS Tiger tank, which manages to destroy 3 U.S. tanks with its superior firepower and armor. Fury destroys the Tiger by outmaneuvering it and firing into its thinner rear armor. Unable to notify his superiors because the radio has been damaged, Dawn decides they must complete their mission rather than risk going back. Upon arriving at the crossroads, the tank is immobilized by a landmine. Dawn sends Norman to scout a nearby hill, from which he sees a German army approaching. Dawn identifies the Germans as a Waffen-SS battalion on their way to attack the division and decides to stay, informing the others they are permitted to leave if they want to. Norman volunteers to stay with Dawn, and one by one, the rest of the crew decide to stay and fight. The men disguise Fury to appear, destroy, and hide inside. While they wait, they give Norman the nickname Machine to show their acceptance of him and share their last bottle of liquor. Using the tank as cover, they inflict heavy casualties and with small arms fire over the course of a single day. Grady is killed by a Panzerfaust that penetrates the turret. Gordel is shot while unpinning a grenade and throws himself on it to protect the others, and a German sniper kills Bible and severely wounds Dawn. Norman wants to surrender, but Dawn warns him he will be tortured and killed if he does. Out of ammunition, except for War Daddy's revolver, and surrounded, Dawn orders Norman to escape through the floor hatch as a German drops steel hand grenade, potato masher grenades into the tank. Norman slips out just before they explode, killing Dawn. Norman tries to hide in the mud underneath the tank as survivors move on, but is spotted by a young soldier who decides to not say anything, sparing Norman's life. The next morning, Norman crawls back into the tank, covers Dawn's body with his jacket and arming himself with a revolver. The hatch opens and Norman prepares to fight, but realizes that his attackers are Americans. They inform Norman that the surviving Germans were too weak to harm the division. As Norman is declared a hero and driven away, he looks back at the tank and numerous dead SS troops lying around it, while the rest of the force continues their march into the heart of Germany. Alright, also on Friday, we will be doing Interstellar 2014 film. Here's the plot in this film. In the post-truth 2067, crop blights and dust storms threaten humanity's survival. Joseph Cooper, a widowed engineer and former NASA pilot turned farmer, lives with his father-in-law Donald, his 15-year-old son Tom Cooper, and 10-year-old daughter Murph Cooper. After a dust storm, strange dust patterns inexplicably appear on Murphy's bedroom floor. She attributes the anomaly to a ghost. Cooper eventually deduces the patterns were caused by gravity variation, that they represent geographic coordinates, a binary code. Cooper follows the coordinates into a secret NASA facility headed by Professor John Brand, Cooper's former supervisor, who says gravitational anomalies have happened elsewhere. 48 years later, unknown beings positioned a wormhole near Saturn, opening a path to a distant galaxy with 12 potentially habitable worlds located near a black hole named Gargantua. 12 volunteers traveled through a wormhole to individually survey the planets. Astronauts Miller, Edmonds, and Mann reported the positive results. Based on their data, Professor Brand conceived two plans to ensure humanity's survival plan and involves in developing a gravitational propulsion theory of propel settlements into space, while Plan B involves launching the Endurance spacecraft carrying 5,000 frozen human embryos to settle a habitable planet. Cooper is recruited to pilot the Endurance. The crew includes scientists Dr. Amelia Brand, Professor Brand's daughter, Dr. Romilly, Dr. Doyle, and robots Tars and Case. Before leaving, Cooper gives a distraught Murphy his wristwatch to compare their relative time for when he returns after traversing a wormhole. Normally studies the black hole while Cooper, Doyle, and Brent descend in a landing craft to investigate Miller's planet, an ocean world covered in knee-high water. After finding wreckage from Miller's ship, Brent disobeys Cooper's order to reboard immediately because of her insistence in checking the wreckage, leading to the death of Doyle by a gigantic wave caused by the gravitational pull of the black hole. The lander's engines flood and take some time to clear, delaying their departure further due to the proximity of the black hole. Time is severely dilated. As a result, 20 years of elapsed of Vermelli on Endurance by the time Cooper and Brand return. Edmund's planet has slightly better telemetry, while Man broadcasts positive data. Cooper decides to use their remaining fuel to reach Man's planet, where they revive him from cryostasis. Meanwhile, Murph, now a scientist working with NASA, transmits a message announcing Professor Brand has died. She has learned that Plan A, which required unattainable data from within a black hole, was never viable. Plan B was always Professor Brand's only option. Murphy accuses Brand and Cooper to knowing that those left on Earth were doomed. Cooper subsequently declares that he will be returning to Earth, but Brandon normally will remain on Maine's planet for permanent habitation, as the planet is believed to be habitable. Cooper goes with Men to explore and inspect the planet. Men reveals to Cooper that the frozen planet is uninhabitable. He had sent falsified data in order to be rescued. Man attempts to kill Cooper so that he can take the Endurance to complete the mission by going to Edmund's planet. He then takes a lander and heads for Endurance. Meanwhile, Normally is killed by a booby trap left by Man. Brandon Cooper races to Endurance in another lander. Man dies during a failed manual docking operation, severely damaging Endurance after a difficult docking maneuver. Cooper regains control of the damaged but functional Endurance. With insufficient fuel to reach Edmund's planet, they use a slingshot maneuver to close the Gargantua. That time dilation adds another 51 years in the process. Cooper and Tars jettison themselves to shed weight and propel Endurance using Newton's third law to ensure Endurance reaches Edmund's planet, slipping through the event horizon of Gargantua. They eject from their respective craft and find themselves inside a massive tesseract, constructed by future humans inside the singularity across the different time periods. Cooper can see through the back bookcases of Murphy's old room on Earth and weakly interacting with its gravity. Cooper realizes that he was Murphy's ghost, driven by regret of having missed being there for his children and motivated by love that just transcends the dimensions of space and time. Cooper manipulates the second hand of the wristwatch he gave Murphy using Morse code to transmit the quantum data that TARS collected from inside the event horizon back on Earth and further back in time. Murphy finally realizes it was her father and from the future trying to communicate with her and assisted by the apparent ticking of the seconds hand on her watch. Deciphers the Morse code. Cooper and TARS are ejected from the Tesseract. Cooper is picked up and awakens on the space habitat orbiting Saturn, where he reunites with an elderly Murphy. Using the quantum data sent by Cooper, the younger Murphy has solved the gravitational propulsion theory for Planet A, enabling humanity's mass exodus and survival. Nearing death and with her own family, Murphy urges Cooper to return to Amelia Brand, telling him that no parent should have to watch their own child die. Cooper and TARS take a spacecraft to rejoin Amelia and Case on Edmund's habitable planet. Alright, so you can see in this image of the photo it says Miller's planet orbiting Gargantua. Alright, that's all the home video lasers we got. So, second, we will be doing TV series over home video lasers. We will continue with the Walt Disney Treasures. On today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will be doing on today. What's on today? Oh yeah, the Three Blind Musketeers. Lambert the Sheepish Lion, Beezy Bear, Barely Sleep, and Mr. Duck Steps Out. Alright, that's all the TV series on my home releases we got. So third, we will be doing Emma Monkey pictures and Roman Cowan productions and Duncan Teeth Company shorts. It is about the Lonesome Mouse, 1943. Do you know what the Lonesome Mouse means? This means when Maybe Two Shoes kicks Tom out of the house after Jerry frames him, the mouse enjoys his freedom without Tom until he gets lonesome. They work together to prove Tom's worth as a mouse catcher to Mammy. Alright. That's all the shorts we got. So fourth, we will be doing Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. The story continues when May gets her cleaning duty at her lowest college work, and so the giving chair was presented by the expensive case, and the giving chair was being bought by Brazilian characters. When the magical girls give them the giving chair to their lowest college residents, they sit on themselves and giving them the proof that the giving chair was only for the room to be in the living room for the magical girls. As the magical girls go to as maybe the magical girls go to Gloucester, Ontario, Canada, they find a hotel to stay and maybe enjoys herself in her relaxing bed. Alright, that's all we got for today. Let's do some work now. Hello guys. Hi. 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 Oh gosh, you're all here. Anyway, do you wanna see something really cool? What's that? I want to show you something. Yeah, what's that? I'll show you on Hattori Pochi Reddit. Okay, show me. I'll show you. It's on Reddit, so I have to show you this. Okay, show me then. I'll show you just a second. Okay, it might load up, so, let's see now. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys, I just found out Among Us reference. Look closely. That sounds like me doing Among Us, right? It's cool, like Among Us. Posting an image of yeah, that's 21. Okay, you are accidentally typed smiley face, muscle, smiley face. And that's me. I'm really strong, don't I? Mm-hmm. Okay, 20. Can I trust to be strong? One of like you are running about. Yeah, I do. Cool. What's Squidward? That's me on top of Squidward's fort. Cool. Oh, look, there it is. What's that? Okay, I'll show you. Scatterpad is incorrect. Quotes generator. What's that? Don't know. Ochi, Nako, Ado, Sadoka, Karai. What did you guys in your yearbook? Prettiest smile. Nicest personality. Most likely to start a bar fight. Least likely to start a bar fight, but most likely to win one. Nako, Sadoka, Karai, Ado, and Bochi. Favorite horror movie? It, Saw, Annabelle, High School Musical. After watching it, I spent all my middle school years terrified that the entire school would start singing something and I'd be the only one who didn't know the lyrics. Okay, Bochi Nako. Nako, my face is on fire. Bochi, are you okay? Oh yes, I'm fine. I just said that to make sure you'd come in here quickly. But your face is on fire. Yes, it's much better than shaving. Aru, Nako. You love me, right, Nako? Normally I'd say yes without hesitation, but I feel like this is going somewhere and I don't like it. Bochi Naru, holding a bottle. Is this whiskey or perfume? Chugs? Entire bottle. It's perfume. Nako, Aru, and Bochi. Help! I told Bochi I'd cook dinner tonight, but I can't cook. Aru pouring milk directly into the cereal bag. And you thought I could help. Aru, Nako, Bochi. We need distraction. Is anyone here good at jumping and up and down and making weird noises? My time has come. Bochi, Nako, Sadoka, Naru. Why is Nako so sad? They took one of those "which character are you" quizzes, and they got Aru. Aru, Nako, Bochi, and Sadoka. Gently taps table. Taps back. What are they doing? Morse code. Aggressively taps table. Slams hands down. You take that back. Bochi, Nako, Yamada, and Aru. I just ended a 4-year relationship. Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. It wasn't my relationship. Yamada and Aru fighting from across the room. Nako, Sadoka, Karai, Aru, and Bochi. I'm an idiot. If you're waiting for us to disagree, this is going to be a long day. That sounds funny. That sounds funny, isn't it? Bochi. Okay, let's see now. I'm just gonna have to say, what do we have to do here? I don't know. Oh yeah, scatter patter. Oh, I need to put scatter patterns in there. Yep. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. This is incorrect quotes generator in NeoCities. Yeah. Here's a warning. Some prompts may imply shipping between 2 or more characters. This generator is not meant to imply any adult, minor, abusive, incestuous, or otherwise problematic ships. In the future, I plan to implement a feature to filter our prompts that involve shipping. But until then, I apologize for any prompts that try to ship characters that you don't want to be shipped. This generator is brought to you by Scatterpatter, FAQ. Current number of prompts. 1 character, 36. 2 characters, 114. 3 characters, 65. 4 characters, 42. 5 characters, 26. 6 characters, 23. Okay? What can you be one? Let's add 2 characters, like you and Lynn Daves. Me and Lynn Daves? Yeah. Okay. Would you like to add me one? Let's just put on, Lizard. Lizard? Yep, Lizard. That's your last name. Okay. And what am I gonna put on? Let's put on Lynn. Lynn? That's my first name? Yep. Okay. Let's generate a problem C. Is letting someone win at chess except sapiosexual bottomling? Does anyone in this godforsaken group ever think before they speak? It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I think we're just playing chess and now let Jesus come as they speak. Oh my gosh. This is so funny. Oh gosh. You like that, don't you? Yeah, I like that prompt. It's so funny. Good job. Anyway, let's go to Magic Kingdom and we'll go to stay at a hotel. Do we stay at Yacht Club Resort, okay? Yeah, good idea. Let's go. Okay.